Black ownership, black wealth over everything. Get that shit in your dome. And when you get money out the hood, put other niggas on. Yeah. Gotta get it out the mud. Get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Get it out the mud. Gotta 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 get it out the mud. Get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Pull the verse out the purse. Fiends come and serve after serve. Meet them at the stop by the curb. Serve at the perf. Ain't one gas, nigga. One hit, this'll blow out your nerves. Stand on alert. Trap got mass killers on the church while you ship out the bird. Prepare for the worst. Tell about the last nigga that try to ship they purple this turf. Now take them same damn principle. Apply that shit to a legal hustle. Together we too invincible. Let the gangster niggas all be the muscle. Fuck all the white folk credentials. Put our own schools with the infrastructure. And if they try to set a business up in our neighborhood, then we yellin' fuck them. Go. We can make a whole lot of dough. Never gotta sell no dope, nigga. I be on the go. Holla at the girl with the bro. Wrist full of flicker in the glow. Got the diamonds like gold. Fresh type of curves on the coat. We can make it happen, no joke. And you never go broke. Nigga put a glass in the air. Let all the black folks here toast. Gotta get it out the mud. Get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Get it out the mud. Gotta 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 get it out the mud. Get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Get it out the mud. Gotta get it out the mud. Gotta get it out.
We still here, still standing. UPK, we never left the building. Commander General Yohana, you know, whoa. Check it out. Rolling to America. Seize everything and bring these crackers to their knees. I need everything and I do mean everything. I know they don't like us. Go ahead and try us. Don't make me call upon the Lord and put this earth on fire. I'm only getting better and I'm only getting higher. And you are getting weaker. That's why you cannot beat us. I know you do not like us. We don't like you neither. You went against the grain. You should be ashamed. You went against a king. Let's just call it treason. Can't wait for killing season. All that shit that you be preaching. Let me see if you believe it. They say they can't be touched. Well, I'm about to put my hands on them. No more missing nice guy. I gave that spirit up. Lord, give me strength so I can tear this city up. Babylon is falling, but it's just not fast enough. Angels with a nigga, so you niggas cannot touch. Ooh, this shit not adding up. Fucking raise it up. Listen to them devils while you let them get you up. Yeah. Said I pray you understand. I said I pray you understand. This shit not adding up. Fucking raise it up. Listen to them devils while you let them get you up. Said I pray you understand. Hey, I said I pray you understand.
They want me to bite my tongue, they don't like criticism. Can't sell presses the devil, YouTube restricted niggas. But they can post bitches twerking, police killing niggas. You can rap about catching bodies and millions listen. Bitches rap up out they box and children listen. You say you black and gay, to them you still a nigga. You chasing Susie and Becky, they Emmett Tillin niggas. You got the ones that compromise and you got field niggas. It's a real difference, it make me feel different. When I kick on my boots, tie up a new tree, I know when we teaching that camp, nobody teaching. These devils telling lies without blinking. They ain't got the integrity, try to reach them. They say they conscious and they woke, but they sleepy. I ain't sparing nobody, I'm going in. It's a rap when I hop up on that podium.
This shit not adding up, fucking raise it up. Listen to them devils while you let them get you up. Yeah. Said I pray you understand. I said I pray you understand. This shit not adding up. Fucking raise it up. Listen to them devils while you let them get you up. Said I pray you understand.
pray they understand.
Welcome to the serve the Lord in the priests and prophets in the fight for Christ in the go to war for the straight soldiers in the go to ground for the all my brothers in the become a man in the follow orders in the gonna die for the gonna live for the change my life in the real niggas in the spread the truth in the stay flammable in the ISUPK. The Israelites for universal practical knowledge. Since 1969, we've been spreading the truth that blacks and Hispanics are the real Jews of the Bible. We are under commanded Juliana. Hispanics are the real Jews of the It's a
All right, Shalom Israel with the ISUPK, started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commander General Yohana. Since 1969, we've been teaching the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans the truth according to the Bible. All right, we're located here in St. Louis, 5261 Delmar Boulevard, Suite A. All right, that's 63108. And again, St. Louis, Missouri. All right, we had classes every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday night from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Right? Every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. we have our Sabbath service. Right? The call-in numbers for the classes and the Sabbath service, 712-832-8330 or 425-436-6260. Right? The PIN for both of those is 825-1636. All right, this is every Sunday. Sharpen the Sword Radio with Captain the Gog Bar, right? The highest ranked man in Missouri and the one who all these. It's so hilarious how many people will come up against the truth come up against Cap, come up against the men in the ISUPK online. But we have classes, we have radio shows that you are free to come and join and sit down and talk to your brothers and learn and discuss the issue. But they never seem to actually make it on, right? They never actually seem to make it through, right? But again, this is every Sunday from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., right? Captain Golgabar, we have it Sharpen the Sword Radio, and the phone number for that is 712-832-8330, and the access code for that is 910-1409, right? Now, if you got any questions related to classes or radio shows or whatever we got going on, all right, the phone number to call for that is 314-696-8288. All right. See if we got any questions here first. All right. Let's see. All right. No questions online, so let's hop straight into the lesson. All right. So, as you can see from the title, we're going over the fact that to the Most High God, sex is marriage, right? And, there's a lot of different people who have their own agendas, right? When they want to teach that sex is not marriage, right? And it's all from a wicked root, whether they realize it's wicked or not. All right, let's go over a law, right, concerning marriage. All right, and let's see if you can have sex with somebody and then just decide if you want to stay with them or not, right? We go into the book of Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter, and the 28th verse, right? All right, it reads, if a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay with her, and they both be found, keep reading, verse 29, then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels, because he hath humbled. 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her, and he may not put her away all his days. Right? Now, what's this saying? Let's read this again, and we're gonna break it down real slow, right? If a man findeth a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, right? So if he finds a young lady who's never been with a man, right? So this is a young lady who is not married, right? Which is not betrothed. She's not even engaged, right? And lay hold on her. Now, later on, We gonna go over different words. And when it's talking about lay hold right here, right, it's talking about he ran game, right? He seduced her, right? Right. And lie with her, and they lie down together and they have sex, right? And they be found, right? So they find out, right? Because here's the whole case of the matter, right? First of all, he should have already gone to the father in this situation, right? Right? They were found because listen, they trying to keep it a secret, right? They didn't want to commit, right? They didn't want to they wanted to try to get around the law, try to get around the system, and we still do that today, right? We try to cheat the Most High, right? We try to go around what the Most High has already set up, right? And we try to hide when we doing things outside of the will of the Most High, right? But right here it says, "And they be found," right? So them messing around with each other, that was found out, right? Then the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver. Right? This is not a suggestion. Right? This is not a if you want to, or if you really want to stay with her, if you really want to be with her. No, you were having sex with her. Now you have to. Right? It is this is again, this is Deuteronomy, and it says that he shall give the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver. He will pay for her. He will pay the dowry. Why? Because he's already taken her as his wife. Right? Let's keep reading. And she shall be his wife. Oh, Slakia. Keep reading. And she shall be his wife. Right? This is not, like I said, this is not negotiable. Right? This is not a so lock here. Okay. All right. Now, as I was saying, these were not suggestions. These were not choices, right? By law, right? You have to fulfill the rest of the contract, right? You've already fulfilled part of the contract, right? Now it is on you to fulfill the rest of the remaining part of the contract, right? Because okay, so it's been made into something different nowadays, right? It's been made into so I'm trying to check and see if this is a question. Okay. All right. So it's been made into something about romance, right? Something about worship, especially of the bride, right? But what? Let's see here. Yeah, so right, it's not just of the bride, right? I mean, it's like here. Okay, so now the there's not a question of what happens, right? Once you have sex, that is it, that is all, right? In the Bible, there is no in between, right? With the Most High God, there's no in betweens. There's really no gray area, right? It's either that you it's either that there is a rule about it, or there's a law about it, and that's just is what it is, or it's not, right? And as far as intercourse goes, right, there are two statuses for women biblically for a woman who is having sex, right? All right, so lock here. All right, so lock here. Right. So as far as it goes with women in the Bible, right? There are two statuses for a woman who is sexually active and a woman who is not, or Salaki. There are two statuses for a woman who is sexually active, right? One, she is either married. Now, by married, I mean she is either a wife or a concubine, right? That is the status of a married, I mean, of a woman who is having sex, right, in the Bible. That is one of the statuses, wife or concubine, right? And the only other status that is found in the Bible about a woman who is having sex is a prostitute or a whore, right? So, we see, biblically speaking, you fall into one or the two of the categories, right? You either fall into the category of a wife, right? And we understand there are certain laws pertaining to being concubines, which are in general no longer met today. So there's, we don't just have concubines, right? Or you are a prostitute or a whore, right? Now that is according to the Bible. Right. Now let's go and further prove that when you have sex with someone, because what is often said a lot, what is often thrown around a lot is that if you have sex with someone and there's no vow or there's no it's like there's no vow, there's no covenant, right? There is no celebration, there's no ceremony, then that's just fornication, and you just had sex with that person. All right. So let's go and see what the Bible has to say about that, right? We're going to the book of Genesis, the 29th chapter, right? And we starting at the 16th verse, right? All right, Genesis 29:16, and it reads, "And Laban had 2 daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel." Verse 17, "Leah was tender-eyed, but Rachel was beautiful and well-favored." Verse 18, "And Jacob loved Rachel and said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter." All right, so what just happened here is, right, quick backstory up into what's happening right now, right? Since, Jacob was raised in Isaac's household, who was raised by Abraham, right, who taught to follow the laws, statutes, commandments of the Most High God, right? He went to go and find someone of his own kinsmen to marry, right? He did not marry outside of his people. So he went to Laban, right? Laban had 2 daughters, right? Rachel and Leah, right? And Jacob saw Rachel, and he wanted to marry Rachel, right? So he made a vow, right, for Rachel, right? He made a vow for Rachel, a pledge, right? And we're going to read that pledge again. It's in verse 18. "And said, I will serve thee 7 years for Rachel, thy younger daughter." That is Jacob proposing a contract to be married to the younger daughter, Rachel, right? Verse 19, "And Laban said, It is better that I give her to thee than that I should give her to another man. Abide with me." So this is Laban accepting that contract, right? He said, okay, you want to marry my daughter Rachel? You're going to work for me for 7 years and marry Rachel? That's fine. You know what I mean? It's better that I give her to you than I give her to some other man. That I give her to somebody outside of my people, right? All right, let's keep reading, right? Verse 20. "And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel." So his service, sorry, I'm going to keep reading. I'm going to read that verse all the way through. Verse 20. "And Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but a few days for the love he had to her." So he served for Rachel, right? This is the payment. This is the dowry. He is paying for Rachel because he has a vow and a covenant with Laban for Rachel, and he is paying for Rachel, right? Let's keep reading, right? Verse 21. "And Jacob said unto Laban, Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go into her." Now, Jacob, right, is coming to Laban saying, listen, I've held up to my end of the bargain. Give me my wife. Why? Because he's already had the contract. He's already fulfilled his terms of the agreement. So he wants what is owed to him, right? He wants Rachel because Rachel is owed to him, because that is the terms of the contract, right? Let's keep going. Verse 22. Let me keep reading verse 21. Verse 21 again from the top. And Jacob said unto Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go in unto her. Right? The last part is very important. That I may go in unto her. Right? Why? Because sex is the marriage. Right? Everything up until this point, up until him having sex with her, he can change his mind. Right? He can decide that he don't want her no more. He don't want to be with her. He want to be with somebody else. And then he can walk away. Right? But as we saw when we first read that law in Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter, is that after you have sex, there is no option to walk away. Right? After that point, you pay. It's a law. You are commanded to pay. Because at that point, there is no going back. The deal is done. The deed is done, right? Now let's keep reading in this story, right? Dealing with Jacob, right? And so far we've seen that Jacob has already made the covenant, the vow and the covenant with his uncle Laban for Rachel, right? He's already served and paid his dowry for Rachel. Let's keep reading, right? Verse 22. And Laban gathered together all the men of the place and made a feast, right? So this right here is a ceremony. This is how we had our wedding ceremonies, right? There was a tent, right? The mother set up a tent, right? And then outside the tent, there was a feast going on, and the feast would last days, you know what I mean? As much as the family could afford, right? And it was a huge celebration, right? So, right, Laban set up this feast, right? And this feast was for Jacob getting his wife, Rachel, that he had worked 7 years for. Right? Let's keep reading. Verse 23. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to him. And he went in unto her. So, you know, of course, this is a wedding ceremony, as we would call it nowadays. Like, this is more like a reception, right? It's a party. Everybody in town is partying. It's like there's drinks, right? Celebration, and then at a certain point, the husband and wife, you know, head into the tent and make it official, right? So all up until this point, everything is for Jacob and Rachel. This gathering, this get together, this party is for Jacob and Rachel, right? And then Laban, while Jacob is in there, he slips Leah in the tent, right? And so Jacob, after this party, inside this tent, he lays with Leah, the woman that was presented to him as his wife. Right? Now let's keep reading. Right? You'll hop down to verse 25. Right? It says, and it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said to Laban, what is this thou hast done unto me? Did I not serve thee for Rachel? Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me? Now, let's look at this entire statement, right? And see what it's exactly saying, right? It says and it came to pass that in the morning, behold, it was Leah. So behold, right? Behold, it was Leah. It's a surprising thing. This is not something that Jacob was expecting. He was not expecting to see Leah laying there, right? Which means he did not know that that was who he had laid down with the night before, right? Now let's keep reading. All right. And it says, behold, and he had said, and he said to Laban, what is this thou hast done unto me? Did I not serve with thee for Rachel? Now, the ceremony was for Rachel. The contract, the payment was all for Rachel. But when he laid down with Leah, he understood that Leah was his wife, not Rachel. And not only that, he understood that without a covenant, without paying for her, without having a ceremony, right? Then Leah still was his wife because he laid down and had sex with her. Right? That was the only thing that Jacob had done that you could even consider being for Leah, is having sex with Leah. Everything else was for Rachel, right? So if the other things, the vow and the commitment and the covenant and all this other stuff that people try to make it be, it simply does not fit with the biblical narrative. It doesn't fit with what the Bible says, right? The Bible says that you can have a vow, you can have a covenant, right? You can call her whatever you want to call her. You can call her your wife all day and all night. But if you have not laid down with that woman, she is not your wife. That's what it is at the end of the day. You can do all of the other things that this world and this society tells you to do, right? But it's still not what the Most High says is marriage, right? And the Most High God honors having sex and laying down with another individual as them being your spouse, right? Having lawful sex. Let me be clear, because there are some sick and twisted people out there that think that, you know what I'm saying, you can sleep with, you know what I mean, children, right? You can sleep with, you know what I'm saying, the same sex. You can sleep with whoever you want to sleep with, and that's supposed to be considered marriage, right? Or God just, what they say that? How they say that? It's something to the fact that, you know, God doesn't hate love, like, or you judging them because of who they love. I'm listen. The Most High God says that marriage, right, is lawful sex between a man and a woman. That's what marriage is. Now, if you decide you are going to be abominable and commit and have unlawful sex, right, then the scripture only has two titles for you at that point, which is whore or prostitute, right? Let's see where we at in class. All right, let's see if we got any questions or comments real quick. I'm going to read this one more scripture, and then we'll get into the vocabulary. Let's see. Any questions? All right. All right, this is one more law, right? This is a commandment of the Most High God, right? Now, again, as I said, biblically speaking, there are only two classifications for a woman who is having sex, who what we would consider is sexually active, right? That's it. There's two classifications, right? One is a wife or a concubine, right? Those two are different types of marriages depending on the circumstances of the marriage, right? That's what that is. A wife or a concubine, right? And then the other classification is a prostitute or a whore, right? This is not some modern remix or retake or so. The Most High God says that these things are this way, right? And that's just how they are, right? You can't say that, oh, it's 2022 and people think that it doesn't. That's irrelevant, right? It doesn't matter what you just think on the issue, right? These are what the Most High God has come up with. These are the standards and the terms and the classifications that the Most High God has deemed to be just and right. Right? So with that, all we have to do after that is just follow them, right? So now that we have seen that even if you do not have a vow and you do not have a covenant with that woman, if you have sex with her, that is your wife. If you have sex with her and you did not have a vow and you did not have a covenant, right, then you are commanded to pay for the violation of the breach of contract, right? You are to retroactively pay for the price of what you stole, right? This is how it works biblically. This is how the Most High God has set it up. And to go against that is to go against what the Most High God has done and how the Most High God has set these things up, right? Well, now we're about to switch over a little bit real quick, and we're going to go over some of the words, right, that have to do with this subject, right? This is going to be a somewhat of expansion to your vocabulary list, right? And these are words that deal with this subject, which would be marriage and sex, right? Lawful sex, right? All right. What's this sex? Alright, so Laki, give me a moment just to get this camera adjusted. All right. Lashawan, right? And Asha means woman, right? So the word for wife in Hebrew is woman, right? Now if we hop over to the word for husband, right? We'll see that the word for husband is ayash. And ayash is also the word for man, right? So we see that the word biblically for husband and wife is simply man and woman, right? Which is why to this day, you know, they say, you know, in the Christian church, and even if you do it, you know what I mean, with justice and peace, you know what I mean, they say, I present man and woman, right? Man and woman is the same thing as husband and wife, in the Hebrew, of course, right? Now let's go to the term, you know what I mean, that we use a lot for our women, for our, you know what I mean, wives, and UPK, right, and that's the word rig, right? Right, and so you see that, you know what I mean, a rib, the feminine version of the word rib, right, is Tazalai Ha, right? And you'll notice that Ha come in towards the end a lot when you're looking at words that come in the feminine, right? When you look to make a word feminine, right, adding a ha at the end is generally the way that it's done, unless it's a completely separate word when it is feminine, right? Next word we look at that. So I can go over the question real quick. Yeah, I mean, I don't know about, you know what I mean, most people who listen to the class right now, but you know, this ain't my first language, right? Lashawan Qadash is not my first language. It's not the language I was born with, I grew up with, you know what I'm saying? And it's not a language that, you know, was taught to me as a child. Right? So, like, even those of us who teach the language. Of course, you know what I mean. Sometimes we gotta go back to our references, right? We gotta go back to our sources and the materials we have, you know what I mean? Because that is what any honest individual does who's talking about, you know what I mean, a chosen field, right? A chosen field of study, right? And one of the things that you will hear an actual doctor or an actual scientist or an actual lawyer doing is citing studies, right? Citing precedent, right? Citing these things. Why? Because they refer back to the references, right? And I've always believed in the saying that, you know, anything that is not growing is dead, right? Anything that is not currently growing is dead. So what you have to do is you got to make sure that you are continually growing, right? You continue pushing yourself and trying to learn, right? All right, let's hop back into this lesson real quick, right? Next word we got for the loin, for the male, you know, for the man's reproductive region, right? It is mama thug, right? And my thug, right, is literally loins or hips, right? But my thug is of the loins, of the hips, right? It's that general area, right? It's that area for them, right? And that's their thought. In Hebrew, it's mama thug. Alright. Next week, where we got up is for the women. Right. Now, we say it a little bit more delicately with women, right? So with women, that general region, that general area is called Qadash, right? And Qadash literally means belly of a woman, specifically the belly of a woman, right? It is more so referring to the womb, right? So it's not just any belly, it's a womb, an open vessel to receive seed, right? The Qadash, Aqaba, right? Next word we got up. Right? Is ST.LOUIS, right? Now this is the closest we have, right, to the word in English that would translate to sex, right? It's to lie with. Right, so biblically when we see that someone lied with someone, right, that is, they had sex, right? Right, and to say that in the Hebrew, it's shakab af, right? Shakab, which is H7901, right, which means to lay down, to lie down, to lodge, to, you know, it especially means to rest or in a sexual fashion to lie, right? To lay see up there. Right, and I include the Strong's numbers, of course, again, so that way you can go back. That way you can double check. That way you can make sure, you know what I mean, that it is that I'm just not making, I'm just not making this up, right? Because that's what ends up happening a lot. We listen, we pick people, right, that we like to listen to, and we listen to them, and then don't double check what they're saying, right? And right here in the ISUPK, right, of course we understand, believe, and know faith, right? But the truth of the matter is that even without faith, right, we can prove what we're saying is true. If you're actually on, if most of the people who come up against the school and try to debate the school are actually honest with themselves and actually honest with the text and the literature that they're going over, it wouldn't even take faith. It would simply take honesty, right? Because we can prove our sources, right? We can show. The scripture tells us to prove all things, right? So in here we prove exactly what we say, right? All right, let's see where we at. All right, next up we got the word lay hold, right? Now, lay hold is quite often used incorrectly, right? So when the scriptures talk about a man laying hold to a woman, right? And you know, actually, this goes straight to the scripture, right? We will go from there, go that way, right? We can address this issue that people seem to have with the scripture, and I don't understand. I honestly do not understand why this is such a big issue, right? It makes sense, you know what I mean, if you believe the Most High God is just, right? If you believe that the Most High God is righteous, right? And the Most High God if you believe the Most High God is righteous, then of course, then I don't see how you see it this way, right? So I'm actually going to read back at the verse I read earlier, right? Deuteronomy 22 and 28. So now let's listen to the difference in this and then the next verse and then the next passage I read, right? If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lie hold on her, and lie with her, and they be found. Okay, let's hear what happened, right? A man found a woman who had not been with anyone or was not promised to anyone after
or was not promised anything. And he lie hold on her, not lie hold on her, is the phrase in contention right? And lie with her obviously is, has intercourse, like I said, and they be found. So this is something that was being hidden, but then came to light, right? Let's go up to 25, right? Verse 25. In this same chapter, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 22, verse 25, right? But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then only the man shall die. See, this right here, this is the law already. Not 28, verse 25 is the law already. Right? And we see that lay hold in 28 is right up there on this, is right up there on the board. Lie hold. Thapash is H8610. Right? Now you will see that word used, right, as basically what we use the word spit game, run game, seduce. Now generally, biblically speaking, when seduce, the word seduce is in there, it's almost always talking about something evil, which is why we don't use that term. Right, to seduce, right, to seduce a woman, right, biblically speaking, when you look at all the other references, biblically, seduction is something that gets someone to do something evil, right? So in here, we don't seduce women, we lay hold to, right? What we do not do is what is written in verse 25, which is chazak, right? That's use force, use strength, right? And chazak is generally reserved when speaking about physical strength, not necessarily mental strength or strength in any other way, but that is more so used to physical strength. Right? So when it says force her, it means physically. It does not mean, he gave her an ultimatum, he did it. No, he put his hands on her and he did this against her will. And she struggled and she fought. And he was forcing her. Right? And then of course, this woman, she cried out, right? She made it be known that this was against her will and this man was doing this to her. He was forcing her. And guess what? That is unlawful sex in Israel, right? The penalty for that is death, right? And that's one of the most beautiful reasons why the kingdom of the Most High God is so much more righteous and so much more just than this kingdom, right? The correct penalty for rape is death. That's period. That's it. There's nothing after that. That is the correct penalty for rape. That is what the Most High God says should be done to a rapist. They should be put to death. Not sitting in a cell for 40 years and getting to think about. No. That's not how that works. A rapist is worse than a murderer. Right? Even in murder, right? even in murder, right? I mean, self-defense can come up as a justifiable option, right? Defending somebody else's life, justifiable option. You killed someone because you were at war, justifiable option. There is zero justifiable reasons for rape. Right? There are more reasons that you are able to take a life than to rape. Right? So, and we see that these are two completely separate words. Right? Neither one of them has either anything to do with each other. Right? And we see that when it comes to rape, right? It talks about Qadash, which is force. And when it talks about, spinning the game, getting that one number, sliding up in her DMs, whatever you do, and then, you take her and y'all consent and do what y'all do. Well, that's the posh. That's not Qadash. That's the posh. Right? Since we close to time, I'm going to put these last two up here real quick because I did use these words in the class quite often. So I'm going to put these two words up here in Hebrew just so you know what they are.
Okay, I just want to make sure we put these last two words up here real quick. Again, they were used quite often in the class. Right? Again, I said that, either, when you look in the scriptures, right? Either you are a wife or a concubine, right? And there are no concubines in this day and age, right? Concubine was a very specific type of wife that we do not have at this present moment, right? Right, and the other option is a prostitute or a whore. Right? So prostitute in the Hebrew is halal. Alright? Halal is H2490. Right? H2490. Halal. Alright? And the Hebrew word for whore is zana. Alright? Zana. Which is H2181. Alright? Zana. H2181. Alright?